you're going to put your health first, why the would you order McDonald's 3 times a day? People think eating healthy is expensive. It is so much more expensive to eat like shit than it is to eat healthy.
No matter what you do in life, there is always two perspectives. There's always two major perspectives you can have. You can always look at the downside or the upside, right?
Yeah, a lot of people just, they make the excuse.
Right? How are you trained? Are you training enough to actually, for your body to adapt and change? But also, what are you doing with nutrition, right?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages, welcome to a very special edition of the Start Yesterday podcast episode. Still don't know. Well, I don't record these chronologically. I'm here with a very special guest, someone that I've been following, that I've known about for like half a decade at this point, through the grapevine, through social media. And I think combined, we've lost I don't know, what's it, definitely over 300 pounds. How much did you lose?
350 pounds. I've lost 200.
Yeah. So then over 350, give or take, but who's counting? Well, yeah, welcome to the show, Mr. Kyle.
Thank you, man. No, I really appreciate it. I love the invite, man. Absolutely. It's like we've been following each other for years. And so it is really, really cool. You know, two guys that have been on the same journey and, just kind of two different worlds, though. So it is really, really cool to actually be involved with this. And the things that you have done are absolutely incredible. So I got to commend you, dude. You've been killing it. I'm very, very proud of you.
I appreciate it, man. I think I'm a pretty good testament of you can do whatever you want in life to a certain extent. I hate cliches, but it's it's very true. It is. You got to put your head down and just do it. And it's even recently, it's I have a new project that I'm working on for a business. I could tell you off the podcast, but basically it's just I did this 12 by 30, where it's just 12 hours a day for 30 days in a row. And I just cut out everything that wasn't important. And it's unbelievable what you could actually do if you put your mind right and you just cut out all distractions. And it's the same thing with fitness, but
it's so true.
Make excuses and shit. Right.
Well, it's definitely that's been a big issue, a big thing with my life as well too. It's over the last couple of years as I've been developing my businesses and stuff like that, and just really putting down my head and just really getting the work done. It's amazing how much growth has happened. I was actually just journaling about that this morning. It's kind of crazy with all of the opportunities that are coming these days due to the fact of just exactly that. Putting your head down. Not really sure what's going to happen out of it, but just knowing that you have belief in whatever you're building. And it's crazy to now see what is going on with my life, and we could even talk about a little bit on the episode here, but yeah, so much has been happening. I got so much on the works right now with a couple of different projects that are on the go, and yeah, just drastically changes every single day. More opportunities, like we were talking before, right? Living every single day for what it is, and that's what I do, and it's crazy to see how much is happening.
So I want a prelude, or what's the word? Yeah, is prelude? That's like a trailer. This shit. What can people expect? This kind of retort. Why am I asking this question? But yeah, what are we going to talk about? What do you want to talk about? Anything specific, or transformation stuff, mindset?
I think let's do a little bit of both. I think because I think they go hand in hand, right? Both of us have had quite a journey that we can attest to, for the massive weight loss. But also, I think a lot of people have a bleak view on. They think that success and happiness is just at the finish line, but when it's who you're creating along that journey of getting to whatever goal that you're shooting for is that's where the real wins are. It's in the journey of becoming here. I know it's cliche yet again, be it's the journey, right? But it is. It 110% is. It's, I would never be the individual that I am today or as happy as I am today. And I think that's probably the biggest testament to your quality of life. Everybody can stack bank, you can sit there and you can have all the accolades, you can have all the accomplishments and stuff like that. But how happy are you at the end of the day? And I think that's more of the biggest win, right?
Well, what's the quote? I have it actually printed in my gym. It's I'd rather cry in my I'd rather be happy in my Honda than cry in my Ferrari, or something like that.
Yeah, exactly, right. And that's what I believe as well too.
So take me back to where was your starting point? What did life look like before your journey really kind of started, bro?
All right. Well, so a little bit of my story then is so back in end of 2017, early 2018, I was in a pretty dysfunctional relationship. We were always at each other's throats. It was really bad. And me being the people pleaser that I am, I kind of lost myself within that relationship. I got to the point where I was over 400 pounds and incredibly depressed. I got us a house. I was trying to do the whole, like, white picket fence, fucking, trying to build this beautiful life that I thought I was supposed to live. And then near the end there, I lost my job. Recession hit, lost my job. The girl left, cheated on me, took off, and I ended up in just a deep depression. And the hardest part of it all was, and this was the catalyst, was there was one night where I had enough. And at 400 pounds, I was about 402 pounds at the time, I tied a rope to the rafters and I tried to end my life. And it was the best thing I ever failed at. I tried. I was so heavy, luckily it broke the pipe.
Hey, it's, bro, that's crazy. I did that. I have a very similar story to that, bro. Except I didn't know how to tie the shit, and I mean, I didn't get high enough. I mean, I'm laughing because I like the Joker, because like the Joker was pain. I actually have the Joker tattooed on me, but it's funny the similar. I didn't know that similar. It was something, without going into graphic detail, there was something I did very, very, very similar to that, and thankfully, because of our fucking size, it didn't work.
Exactly, right? Upside of being fat, okay?
Our own flotation device.
So, and then that was it, right? I ended up crashing to the floor, and I just spent the rest of my night. I just lay there crying all night. And then I woke up the next day on my concrete floor in my basement, and I looked at my life. I was just looking at it, and at that point, I just knew I'm at rock bottom. Like, I'm at the bottom here. I'm like, there's no getting any lower. And, I have a 16-year-old son now, and at the time he was quite a bit younger. And all I could think of was, like, my father abandoned me when I was a young kid. And so I always thought about, like, who the fuck am I to abandon this kid? This kid deserves way more than that. So I told myself that if I wanted a better life, I myself had to be better, that I had to be an upgraded version of who I am. So I coined the phrase 1% better every day. So I knew I couldn't put myself in a position where I'm like, I got to be perfect now, because I knew that would be overwhelming. But if I focused just on 1% better every single day, then I felt like that was going to be something that was going to get me to my goals eventually, or just something that was going to make me feel better. So I did. I just started working out. I had a pair of 15-pound dumbbells, and I just started working out every day. I would work out essentially until I puked every single day. And I just kept going and going and going, started doing a little bit more with nutrition, a little bit more with this, that, and the other thing. And then eventually hit a point where I'd lost probably about 60, 70 pounds. And then a couple of buddies had reached out to me and said, like, you're doing amazing. Could you help me with my fitness journey? I was like, yeah, sure. Right. So I just kind of taught them what I knew, and I was just researching tons at the time. And so I said, okay, yeah, for sure. And then all of a sudden they had amazing results. They lost 40, 50, 60 pounds. And so I kept going, kept trying to be their inspiration. And then I ended up getting hired on by an art company, and I started traveling all over the globe, putting in art pieces, just all throughout Canada, through the States, a little bit in Europe. And I was running different crews through that. And it just got to the point where I was always away. I was always out of town. So I was like, you know what, this isn't for me. And so I said, screw it. I quit that job and I went back to school. And I ended up finishing a degree there. And then I ended up going back again, and I got nutrition sciences. So I became a nutritionist and a personal trainer, also a physiotherapist for a little while as well, too. And then I was like, you know what? I think this is I was really enjoying it. And then unfortunately COVID hit, and it was like, okay, well, now what do I do? And then ended up like we met through our business program there, was that I just decided that, maybe this is what I need to do, an online program. And now over the last 6 years, since kind of that day, I've helped over 600 people online, over 400 people in person. And I myself have lost 200 pounds. I've become a competitive bodybuilder. And now I am also, I work for PT Domination. So I also help coaches become better coaches. And I also here in where I live in West Kelowna, British Columbia, Canada, I'm affiliated with Aesthetic Nation Gym. So I run all of the youth programs through there, the Young and Ambitious youth programs. I do football coaching. I'm very heavily built in the community here. And so it's just been a massive game changer, that to think about the guy that didn't think he was worth anything to a guy that is really trying to make a name in this life,
Yeah, well, I saw the youth stuff. That's something I definitely want to talk about, because it's something that, well, I mean, you're a bit older than me, but it's something that I'm definitely passionate about. It's on my vision board, in terms of motivational speaking, and especially when not only you do the transformation, but also the business side. It's a different level of respect. Like, don't get me wrong, like, it's great you or I lost over 150 pounds, but if you do that, and then you also can say, hey guys, like, I did that, I changed my life, but now I also make 6 figures a year. It just gives you like a little more je ne sais quoi,
Yeah.
And it's definitely something I want to get into. But just to kind of put a bow on like your journey. So I guess, was there like a single breaking point, or was it just like a slow build into like the kind of like regression and then like the transformation?
Definitely a slow build. It was a simmer, that's for sure. Because I don't think I ever really had like a set goal, right? Like, especially when I got started, it was just like, I essentially wanted to be able to meet a girl again, right? Like that was kind of like my initial motivation, right? Was like, I knew I didn't want to be alone forever, right? So that was kind of like my initial motivation. And then it just, as life started developing, just more opportunities brought themselves. And that seems to be the kind of the theme of my life, is that the more and more that I do, the more and more that I challenge myself, the more I kind of push my own barriers, just the more opportunities come my way. And with that is really developed the kind of the world and the goals that I shoot for. And so like even now, next weekend on April 19th, I will actually be stepping on stage for my second bodybuilding show. And I was invited to be to qualify for my pro card. So for a guy that used to be 400 pounds, he's now potentially going to be try and fight for a pro card in bodybuilding.
You know, that's the one thing where I know that you, I wouldn't say have a leg up on, but in terms of our similarity, obviously you have a kid. I don't have a kid that I know of. I would hope so. Shout out if you're watching. I mean, who knows? Don't contact me for child support. But other than that, the bodybuilding, people always ask me like why I didn't do it or thought of doing it. And honestly, for me, like, it's a matter of, well, I would do the transformation division to start with probably, but it's also like, if I did it, I'd really want to win. And it's like, also, I know the sacrifices that are necessary. And it's like, I don't know, some people could probably do it. Like you probably are able to fit into your lifestyle. But for me, like, I'm not willing to like, I don't know, like sacrifice and diet that hard and like all that shit. But I respect people that do it like a tremendous amount because it's not easy. And anybody that says otherwise is just lying. Right.
It's difficult for sure. Like even right now, I'm sitting at about an 8% body fat, and so I've lost about 16 pounds in the last 12 weeks.
Holy shit.
So yeah, it's sitting pretty low right now. You know, it's interesting when you can see fucking veins in your ass cheeks, but
that's pretty cool though. You can play like draw stuff like and feel it.
And it's great to see them through the legs and stuff like that. It's pretty interesting, right? But it's a challenge. It's a challenge, and that's probably the biggest thing about me is I love a challenge. Like,
you like to push yourself.
Exactly. I always love to kind of push that barrier of where people think I'm a little bit crazy.
That's understandable. People think that with me sometimes now, but like even when I started my journey, like, well, I'm black and white. There's no gray for me really. And I think that has to do a lot with maybe like ADHD or autism or whatever diagnosis the doctors gave me. I got like 12 fucking learning disabilities, but I think it's also just like, I don't know. I'd rather be all in than all out. You know, it's like people thought like, when I officially was like, when I had that like epiphany moment and I just like woke up and I was sick and tired of seeing what I saw in the mirror, you know, just like, it's like my mom quit smoking and I asked her, and so some other people asked her like, cause she was smoking for like 30 years. They're like, well, how did you do it? She's like, I just had an epiphany moment. And she's like, fuck it, I'm done. Right. And she quit cold turkey. I mean, it's not going to be it's not everybody could do that. But with me, like one day I woke up and I couldn't see my dick in the mirror. I say that jokingly, but also fucking dead serious. It was like 380. And, my dad's not Shaquille O'Neal, so like, you know, this does not. But you know, I was just like, dude, I was like, how did I get to this point, right? And then I wanted to change, and when I did that, I had to change every aspect of my life, and I don't say that to scare people, and not everybody has to go to the extremes that I've done or you've done, right? But for me, it was like I was playing video games like 12 hours a day and ordering McDonald's 4 times a day or 3 times a day sometimes. So I literally had to completely 180 my life to the point now is like I actually enjoy working out. I like walking, you know, shit like that. But it's like it didn't get there. I didn't do that overnight. It wasn't an overnight process. It was like I love the saying like I'm an overnight success 10 years in the making, right? Yeah. And I mean that's more for business, but even still, like I was an overnight success 5 years in the making. Like to get to where I'm at now, to get to where you're at, it was like it didn't just happen overnight. And then people think like they go to social media or like they have this instant gratification, this dopamine. They want this shit to happen like instantly, or then they'll fucking hop on Ozempic because they think that's the magic pill. Like, oh, I want this so quickly. And it's just like, you know, that won't work at all. No. So for you, like I have like 2 things, like for the first 30 days, like how did you, because I think the first 30 days is the hardest with really anything, but especially with this, like, how did you, like, what was the process like, right? And then especially starting at such like kind of like a deep hole, like a dark place. And then what would be like the 3 things that you would credit for the transformation?
For starting off, for sure. Like, so in that first 30 days, and I don't think a lot of people should do this, but there was a lot of anger. Yeah. Like there was a lot of what I call fuck you energy. And there was a lot of it. I almost wanted to just like, not prove to my ex or prove to anybody, but like I was trying to prove to myself because I was looking at this 400-pound man and I didn't believe that was me. and I was just like, I couldn't, I saw myself as the fat man, but like at the same time, I'm like, I know I'm better than this. I know I am. So there was a lot of fuck you energy, and where I just wanted to kind of I wanted to beat that guy out of me. I wanted to believe in him. I wanted to, and like the only thing I've ever known is to work hard. My work ethic has that's always been a big one for me. And so that's, I was like, hey, if that's what I know, then that's what I'm going to do. I work my ass off to get to whatever I'm going to get to. Didn't really have a destination, but it was what it was. And I think for a lot of people, you got to remember is within that, like you said, that first 30 days is detrimental. Right. It's you need to be you need the mindset to know that first 30, 60, 90 days is going to probably be the hardest part of your journey. Right. It's because this is where you're building fundamentals. This is where you're building the habits. And it doesn't feel like it at the time. Right. It just feels like everything's overwhelming. It's all brand new. It's, it's all crazy. But it is the thing that is going to build those compound efforts to make sure that you get to whatever goal that you're shooting for. So, but I think, probably the biggest thing for me, though, is just focusing on what it was that I needed to work on. Don't worry about what fucking social media is telling you and that, you should be doing fasting and this and that and the other thing. I looked at what my habits were. And just like you said, you're eating McDonald's 3 times a day. Well, in the last month before I decided to lose the weight, I tallied it up and I'd spent over $1,100 on takeout.
I wasn't. My dad's credit card was spending $2,000 a month. And
Right?
I always say the analogy, like, and I get it. We both get it. We went in the shoes, but I can't understand anymore where I'm at now. And again, it's a little bit of bias, but when someone's like, I can't afford to invest into their health for coaching or, look, if you're going to learn Spanish, you're probably going to hire a tutor. I mean, now they have Duolingo, but I've done it for like 400 days. I'm not fluent in Spanish. It's kind of shit. But if you're going to learn how to drive, you got to hire a driver license or you're going to hire the driving people. But then like, I always say the quote, and I won't say this to people directly because it's a little blunt and some people like don't like it, but coming from someone who's been in the shoes, if you can afford to live in a 300-pound body, you can afford to get out of a 300-pound body.
Ooh, that's a good line.
Right? It's just facts, bro. Like, or whether 400-pound or but especially the 300-pound range, like, bro, nobody is that size, or very few are get to that size without spending frivolously like at least $500 a month on bullshit. And when I say bullshit, I'm not saying you have to go to fucking Freshco or what's the one that Amazon owns, whatever, like little bougie
Whole Foods.
Whole Foods. You don't need to go to Whole Foods, okay? But you're spending at least, and anybody that says otherwise is lying, or they just don't track their finances and don't have a clue, which is that's a whole other story. I know I'm Jewish, but like I'm not an accountant, but like goddamn, clue. But no, bro, they're spending so much on eating out or just stupid shit like drinking. Right? And I'm not saying you can't have a drink, but like what benefit at all does spending $25 shot at a bar have in your life? Now, I'm not saying you can't do that on occasion, but like if you're doing that every weekend, that shit adds up. And is that going to help your health? No.
It's the amazing times, right? Like, I have probably still one of the most affordable programs on the market. I have not raised my prices in 3.5 years. And it's because I just believe in impact more than income. Yeah. It's my, like, as long as I got my bills paid, I'm putting away some money and stuff like that, and I'm fine. And I've kept that mentality because it's been able to help more people, especially if they are financially stuck. And it's honestly quite funny that the amount of people that I work with that came into my program thinking they couldn't even afford that. Yep. Right. And then they come into the program and same thing. They start learning these fundamentals and habits that where they're spending their money and where they're investing either way, but they're investing either against their health or for it. And it's amazing how much money they actually save in the long run.
I was going to say that, bro. Every client I've ever worked with, like genuinely, easily, they all save $300, $400, $500 a month. And it's not because, and I'm sure you could attest to it, it's not like we're not telling them to go out with clients. It's not like we're not telling them to order McDonald's. But like, if you're going to put your health first, why the fuck would you order McDonald's 3 times a day? You're just going to eat a chicken breast. And people think eating healthy is expensive. It is so much more expensive to eat like shit than it is to eat healthy. Even if you ordered even if you ordered a meal prep company and you got everything like it was all clean shit, it's about $12 or $14 a meal. I mean, depends if you're doing like the kit or it's fully done for you. But even that, if you're doing one meal on Uber Eats, I don't care if it's Chipotle, I don't care if it's McDonald's, it's going to be a minimum of $20. Minimum. People think like eating healthy is like, yeah, okay, if you're going to eat filet mignon every day, okay, yeah, no shit. But like chicken thighs are pretty inexpensive. A rotisserie chicken is $10. and it's never going to change.
Yeah.
It's $10. Well, maybe inflation. Costco CEO, he stepped down, but the point is, rotisserie chicken's like $10. That's like good for 3-4 meals for most people, bro. How expensive is rice?
You know what? I actually want to talk about something here. So I got somebody we're live on Instagram, and I got somebody that asked here. It said, "Hey, I fast," and I want to touch on that a little bit because this is something that I deal with so often, right? Yeah. So often. Now, I'm going to be clear about something. Fasting is not necessarily a problem. Okay. I want to be clear to everybody. We're live on quite a few channels right now, and I just want to be clear. Fasting is not a problem, but I think a big issue is a lot of people fast, but they don't add in the fundamentals to fasting. It's like, look, you guys can fast, but most people don't track their macros or calories. Okay. So the thing is, if you are fasting and you are not tracking how much you're eating within your eating window, then you are not fasting. You're just starving yourself for a certain amount of time.
That's I have a couple things. For fasting, I was doing sometimes intermittent fasting by default, and that's just because it works with my life. And for a long time when I was doing the weight loss, I was doing it by default. I didn't know what intermittent fasting was. I would work out fasted. I wouldn't eat until around 11, and then I'm not hungry until about and then I'll eat 2-3 meals basically. I'll eat at 11, I'll eat at 3, I'll eat at 6 and 7. But I did that cognitively, whatever. I did that by default. It won't work with most people's lifestyle, in my opinion, because they work 9 to 5. So you're not you could eat and wait till 12 o'clock and then have that window and whatever, but that doesn't matter. All people forget is breakfast literally stands for breaking of the fast. That's why they called it breakfast. So every human by default fasts in some way, shape, or form because we have to sleep. So nobody's eating unless you're Jay Cutler bulking for Mr. Olympia. Nobody's eating every 3 hours. Some bodybuilders like Ronnie Coleman would wake up in the middle of the fucking night to eat. Nobody's doing that unless they're trying to look like a rhinoceros. All right. That's just you 0.011%, like not even happening. But everybody fasts by default. And so I think people have this misconceived notion, I'm doing intermittent fasting. That's the reason they're going to lose weight. No, the reason you're losing weight because you're intermittent fasting, A, it's placebo. And B, if you are someone who eats 12 hours a day and typically eats 4 meals, by you shrinking that window to 8 hours, you typically can't eat more than 3 meals in that window. That's what puts them in a deficit. But for me, intermittent fasting, I don't give a shit. I have a large appetite. I could eat 3,000 calories within an 8-hour window, or a 6-hour window, or a 12-hour window. For me, my optimal thing is just a matter of digestion, right? I don't want to eat fucking 3,000 calories in 6 hours because I'm not going to eat like 1,000 calories every 2 hours. It's just stupid. That's not optimal for digestion.
I can eat 3,000 calories in 5 minutes.
Well, it depends on if it's clean or not. We can get a box of Krispy Kreme and kill that pretty easily, right? Yeah. Like former fat guys, like hello, that's pretty easy.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's one trip down the road, buddy. That's that's easy, but that's what I get, right? And that's good, right? That's a lot of people. So this person, I do track my calories, but I need to figure out macros, and that's totally good. And that's going to be the next step for you is macros from there, because I do think it's for a lot of people, right? If you're starting and you're tracking calories, amazing first step. Okay, amazing first step. But if you really want to make sure that you're looking at energy systems, you're really making sure that you want to change your physique, that's where we want to look at macros, because this is going to start teaching you, how to have proper protein in your system. It's going to give you the amino acids to actually start changing your physical structure, have a better recovery system. This is where you're going to learn to actually test your energy systems, like your adenosine triphosphate, glycogen uptake, and glucagon. This is also going to help with that. Ladies, also especially you ladies, you want to be eating a proper amount of fats, because this is also going to start regulating your hormones better, especially as you're getting older.
I have so many clients, they don't do that shit, bro. That are like, I would, and like I have so many female clients over the years, bro. They'll eat like 1,200 calories a day, and like they'll be like 250 pounds. Actually, that's a whole other topic. Whereas like some people actually, like some overweight people, will track their shit and dig a hole so deep they can't get out of it. Like, I know for some people, like, because that's why I don't like social media as a whole, because it's just blanketed statements. Oh, energy in, energy out. You need to eat less, be in a caloric deficit. And for some people, they're already in such a large deficit, they can't get out of it. So they have to reverse diet or reset their metabolism. And nobody knows how the fuck to do that, because nobody talks about that, right? That's a whole other segue. But yeah, I think the tracking is a good point. Or it's a good starting point. But one pro tip that I always give to clients, because I hear this all the time: I don't have time to track. I don't like to track. When the food goes in your mouth, you track it. It's that simple. Instead of going on YouTube, just you're eating, put it and track it. Or like, I don't care, even if you don't want to track it, because like some people get like annoyed about or super like focused on the numbers, then just write a food journal. So then you are more aware. What's up?
Oh, she's asking me more questions.
Okay.
Send me a message after, and I'll find that tune for you. Okay. But she's asking how do you track like greens and stuff like that and everything. So there's a little bit of ways. There's tricks to it. I'm actually going to be doing a training tomorrow for my clients, and I'm going to have some resources that I'm going to post out for you guys on how to be able to my 10 tips on how to make tracking even easier. So I'll make sure that's all out for everybody. But it's true. I think, and that's the same thing I say to a lot of my clients as well too. It's like when they say I don't have time to, I said no, you don't want to. That's what.
Bro, like you have time to eat. You have time to eat. Like what do you mean, man? Like I don't know. Like I it's just a matter of priorities. So if you could credit 3 things for your transformation, like I mean, granted, there's probably much more than 3, but like if we had to boil it down to 3 things, like what would it be?
Biggest one is mindset, for sure. Biggest one is mindset, but because at the end of the day, your mindset is what's going to keep you going, right? And I know this is very cliche, and everybody says it's got to be positive, but at the end of the day, I do believe that no matter what you do in life, there is always 2 perspectives you can have. There's actually more than that, but like there's always 2.
There's always more than that.
There's thousands, but at the end of the day, there's always 2 major perspectives you can have. You can always look at the downside or the upside, right? And I think a lot of people we get the blinders on and we only want to see what we see, right? We don't want to be opening things up to other avenues, right? But I think the biggest thing that I can attest to all of the opportunities and growth that I do see in my life is that I am always open to abundance. I am always open to learn. I'm always open to have different perspectives and different changes, but always looking at the side of things that show me that that this is a win no matter what, no matter how I get out of the situation, even if it doesn't turn out the way that I hoped it for, there's always going to be knowledge there. There's going to be a lesson. There's going to be something that comes out of it. So I think that's a big one, mindset. Another big one is the eagerness to learn. I think that one's always been a big one for me because I've always been a student of life. And so that one's always been exciting for me, learning from different people. So I think that one is a big one. And also just, enjoying nutrition, I think, is a huge portion that I don't think a lot of people put into play. Like even you mentioned, right? Like some people don't like to cook, but then there's like meal prep services, right? There's so many different abilities. You guys go on, like there's so many amazing creators out on social media that have some of the most amazing recipes. Like, okay, right now, because I'm getting ready for prep, I swear to God, my algorithm is just trying to tease me. So it's like every single time I'm going on any kind of like social media platform, it's like I'm just getting video after video of like the most delicious fucking foods. And like most of them though are all modified recipes that are very high in protein and stuff like that. You got your cheesecakes, your protein cheesecakes and stuff like that and everything, which are all things that I don't think people have a view of, right?
It's funny.
Right? They look at healthy
actually, well, no, but it's funny because I actually had a meal prep company that I did for a while. And it was because when I lost the weight, I went to culinary school, blah, blah, blah. Then I didn't really want to do anything with the culinary school because like it's not a great industry. Shout out to chefs though. They don't get enough love, but they all hate their lives. Yeah. But I mean, bro, like show me a chef that's not divorced. It doesn't exist. But
every chef I know is.
I'm just saying, like, they're just passionate about, but anyways, I didn't want to go to that. And then when I went to do the training, blah, 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 blah. And then fast forward, I had a bunch of clients that were like, I don't want to know. I don't know how to cook, or I don't have the time to cook. So then I was like, fuck it. I meal prep for myself every Sunday. Let me just do it for you. Then it expanded, blah, 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 blah. And so, yeah, I started a meal prep company where it was a lot of like protein desserts or like, like protein cookies and brownies and like pancakes, French toast, all this stuff. It divulged for a multitude of reasons, but you learn a lot and you move on. But I think, a lot of people they make the excuse. Even when you boil shit down, like the rotisserie chicken is always a good staple. Like that's my go-to. It's like, bro, like I have a ebook where if anybody's interested, it's free. It's called The Ultimate Guide to Eating Healthy on the Go. Where it's like if even people are like, I don't know where to eat out for fast food, like go get a fucking rotisserie chicken, or go to like Chipotle, or go to a Chick-fil-A and get like grilled chicken. It's really not that difficult. It's just like they don't know, or B, they just choose not to change, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, the nutrition, that's a very valid point. You have to enjoy it, right? You have to enjoy it. And then, the mindset, that was a perfect segue because that was kind of the next thing that I want to touch on.
Perfect. I also got somebody here. Can I ask a health question? Yes, Ashley, you can ask us anything you want. No, if she comes in, that'd be good. Yeah, no, it's definitely. Let's go through mindset there. That would be fantastic.
So for you, bro, like, how did you, like, I know for me, I had good days, I had bad days. Oh, yeah, and I mean, we all do, but I think also, especially starting like, the journey, it's like a lot of self-doubt. It's a lot of depression, or in your case, there was a lot of anger. I think for me, it was a lot. I didn't have that much anger. I was just like in a cloud of sadness. But I guess, how did you mentally handle your stuff, like when especially when progress stalled, right, or you plateaued?
Oh, this is actually fantastic, because actually Ashley here just asked us a question, is I have PCOS and find it really challenging to lose weight. Any tips? So you know what? I think this is a fantastic position to talk about this, is that this is something, obviously, Ashley, right? You probably found it pretty demotivating, right? Having those issues to be able to lose weight. But I do want to make something clear here. Because you have PCOS does not mean that that's the thing that's holding you back from losing weight.
Bingo.
Right? It's like, you got to remember, there's thousands and millions of people out there with PCOS that have lost significant amounts of weight, right? A big thing that you got to remember is it's a challenge. It's an added challenge, without a doubt, but we all have those, right? So a big thing you got to remember is you got to look at the fundamentals, right? How are you training? Are you training enough to actually, for your body to adapt and change? Are you actually physically moving your body enough to have that? Are you testing your strength limits? Are you testing your energy systems? But also, what are you doing with nutrition, right? A big one for that is you got to make sure that you are having, if you're trying to lose weight, you want to be in a caloric deficit no matter what. So you need to know what those numbers are. So a big one that you can do is, there's lots of free tools out there, guys. Like, you can use MyFitnessPal. It's a free tool, right? Where that way you can actually start significantly changing your nutrition over time, because you're going to see what those numbers look like, right? And this goes out for everybody. If you can learn about macronutrients, okay, and you can learn on how to properly track macronutrients, it's a tedious skill in the beginning, okay? But once you harness this skill, it's one that you will have for the rest of your life. And you got to think about it just like you would your bank account, right? Would you go out and make a huge purchase without looking at your bank account? No. Think about it the same way as that you would do that with your nutrition. If you're going to go out to a restaurant, okay, maybe do a little bit of research. Check those things. That's going to be the biggest tips that really help change your life. It's not about fasting. It's not about cortisol levels. It's not about PCOS, because all of those things they're the icing on the cake, but it's not the actual fundamentals. That's the absolute biggest thing. And if anybody needs any kind of issue, or has any kind of issues with this, or any kind of struggles, then really listen to both of our shows. And actually, because we give so many tips, so many fundamental tips that can really help you guys change your lives. If you really just listen in that way, and if you really have it, it's so good. Right? What do you call it? Macronutrients. Exactly. Yes. You want it. So your proteins, carbs, and fats. That's what makes up your calories. Okay, guys? Your calories are made up of proteins, carbs, and fats. You got 4 calories equals 1 gram of protein, 4 calories equal 1 grams of carbs, 9 calories equals 1 gram of fat. Okay. And once we can learn to organize those to make sure that we're getting the most optimal health, which you will learn over time, you're not going to get it right away. You will learn over time. This is going to drastically change your life. Drastically.
Massive.
Yeah. And then, but I think that's good there, right? So that segue back to the mindset portion is that's the kind of mindsets that we want to have. Okay. Is that you always want to be learning. You always want to be growing. That doesn't mean you have to be perfect. Because when we go try to be perfect, that's when we start having analysis paralysis. So what you want to do is you want to remember that just focus on one step today. What's one habit that you can work on that is going to get you to that next level? And even if it takes you months to figure out, who cares? Who cares? Because you're learning, you're growing, you're moving in the right direction. And this is going to help you see way more success in the grand scheme of things than trying to juggle a bunch of different ideas, a bunch of different stuff. It's going to take you way, way further. The boring shit is going to take you further. Okay, guys, at the end of the day.
Well, I like how you say the 1% better every day. It's something I tell my clients as well. I also say consistency is better than failure. So if I had a slogan, like if I was making my business cards tomorrow, that would be my slogan, where consistency is better than failure. Because I find, and I was guilty of this myself, granted, I have a different mindset where it's similar. It's on the same, I would say same level of David Goggins, but it's like carry the boats, burn the boats, like just get the shit done all in. Like I'll lose sleep over shit, but I'm different. But what's it called? You can't go all in. Most people can't do 100%. And so I'd rather someone be 50% consistently and then 100% one day and 0 the next. Because that doesn't, technically, math equals out to 50%, but it doesn't actually. You're better off getting 2,000 steps back-to-back day than 4,000 one day and 0 the next, right? And then it's just a matter of building the habits, stacking the habits. And that goes back to like the first 30 days, the first 60 days, the first 90 days, they're going to be the hardest. But I literally, bro, like for my clients, I've learned this the hard way. I literally just get them to do the absolute bare minimums. Because it's like I used to overwhelm the shit out of them where I would get them to do this, all this shit. And nobody would do anything. And I'd be like, oh, why is that? And now, I realized less is more. Simplify it. Consistency is better than failure. And it's like, some clients there's outliers where they want more, and then that's different. But most, it's literally just a matter of getting them to like move more and getting X amount of steps per day consistently and then work out. And then from there, incorporate nutrition. But it's like there's a little like it's like the game of life is like similar to a game of just Monopoly or whatever, the game of PlayStation. You just have to level up and get different tokens and different achievements and learn knowledge and stack the knowledge to then become better.
Get that next level, right?
Get to the next level. It's like it's constantly evolving. You'll never really get to Bowser. You'll never get to save Peach, but that's okay. You know, she can.
You never know if you can't keep. You never if you don't keep trying though, right?
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe in some alternate universe, you become like the most knowledgeable person on Earth, and then you enter like a different dimension and realm, and then you just rescue Peach from Mario. I don't fucking know,
But Ashley, send me a message, okay? And I'm going to send you one of my ebooks, and so that way it can teach you all the fundamentals, at least give you a good step in the right direction, okay? That goes out to anybody. If you guys really want to kind of learn about macros, let me know. I got a great ebook.
And the one other thing I wanted to mention, where you mentioned like to watch our podcast, which obviously shameless plug, they should do that. But
yeah,
I think a lot of people, and it's not just fitness, but I think a lot of people are guilty of content. What's the word? Like they'll just watch so much stuff and not process or do anything of it. They'll never take any action, right? And I think a giant difference between people who get success, and this is not just fitness, it's literally anything, but I would say especially with fitness, is they don't take any action. They don't implement anything. So they'll watch a bunch of these workout videos, which is great, but then they'll still sit on the couch and not work out. Or they'll listen to these motivational podcasts and they'll have that initial inertia, and yet they still won't get off the couch and go for a walk. Or then they'll listen to our stuff or whatever, and we'll talk about macronutrients. We'll literally give them the exact blueprint, the exact roadmap that they have to follow, but yet they don't implement it, or they don't write the stuff down. And I'm not saying that to be a dick. I'm saying that because we pretty much, I think we have the same philosophy where it's just like, give all the shit away for free. And then like we sell implementation. We don't sell the knowledge, if that makes sense. Right. Exactly. So it's just like people are, I don't know, man. It's like, I feel almost not guilty. I feel sad that like people literally don't do shit sometimes, you know, and it is what it is. But I just want to throw that out there because whether it's Ashley or Bob or Jimmy, like, you know, go to do shit. Like you're going to send someone an ebook. Very high likelihood though. No offense, Ashley. I'm not trying to put you on blast. I don't know who you are, but probably she's not going to do anything with the ebook, and that's okay. But also when people pay, they tend to pay attention. When you give someone thing for free, it's great. You build reciprocity, you show knowledge, but psychologically speaking, most people don't do shit, right? They have to have something to lose.
They have to invest for sure.
Yeah.
Right. It's like where we put our money where our mouth is usually where we put, you know, if we put, and not even money, right? Time, effort, energy, money, you know, those are the things that are going to help us implement. But like essentially we live in the information era. So it's, you know, anything we want to know is at the tip of a finger. And so it's like we live in this world of information, but information without implementation is just noise, right? That's all it is. And that's a big issue, is because we have so much information coming at us from all different avenues. And it was funny. I was actually having a conversation with this to a buddy of mine who's another content creator. And he was asking me like, how much time do you spend in the day watching content? And like to get ideas and stuff like that and everything. And I was just like, honestly, I don't.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm very, very little do I ever consume content. Okay. This goes up for everybody. I spend very little time consuming content because I am so much more of a creator of content. So it's like, I have my own ideologies. I have my own beliefs. I have my own values. So that's what I'm going to get in the world. That's going to attract the people that jive with me. But I don't, because at the end of the day, like we were talking about, I think if you spend too much time consuming, right, you are also taking on everybody else's values, right?
And then you don't know who the fuck to listen to and who to follow. It's like a chicken with your head cut off.
Right? Where do you go? What do you do?
Where do you go?
Right?
I've had clients, they sent, I completely agree. I mean, there's a thing on Instagram. It's a really cool feature that nobody utilizes except for smart ones, is there's the favorite section where you can turn, and that's the same. Well, YouTube, little less, like you can't favoritize, but you could choose who you sub to and who you don't. So you could turn these tools, instead of brain rot, you could turn them into knowledge bombs, or you could turn them into educational content, right? So you could just go to your people on Instagram, the ones that you actually find value in, get motivation or get knowledge from, and then on the top left, you, instead of seeing the feed for everybody, you just put the feed to your favorites. And then I think you can have up to like 50 favorites, and that's it. That's all you need to see. And then also that's probably going to mitigate your screen time as well. But I use social media as a tool of knowledge, not to brain rot myself. And I agree in terms of what you're saying in terms of creating versus watching. I only really watch stuff for knowledge. So stuff that I'm not really familiar with, whether that's like Facebook ads or, I don't know, like I watched a video about hooks, but then again, like the thing that I'll do is I'll watch the video, I'll take notes, and then I'll implement it. I'm not just going to watch it for the sake of watching, because then it's almost like I'm wasting my time. If I want to watch Brain Rot, I'll watch Mr. Beast, you know?
But there's a fantastic point right there, right? Is that simple fact there that you are watching to implement, right? So, and this is where I think a lot of people have that issue, is they're watching to watch, right? So then they're watching, and this is what we call doom scrolling, right?
Yeah.
We're just going through. And then you might even like a few, maybe save a few and stuff like that. But how often are you actually going to go back into your save files and go and relook at those? Probably next to never, right? Because you're going to go back and keep consuming, looking for that next hit, looking for the next big tip, big things big there. But I bet you anything, you guys have all of the knowledge of what you need to get to whatever goal you want. You want to go make $1 million. You want to build a business. You want to find the wife, the boyfriend, whatever. You want to find, whatever you want in your life. You want to lose 100 pounds. You guys have the information. You all have it, but you just have to implement those things. And you only are going to know that when you take that information, you stay back from all of this information coming back at you, because you don't need to overload. You take that bit of information and you look at it and be like, okay, how do I implement this piece into my life? How does my life need this information? How can I use this? And then you find a way to make that work for you, and you build it a habit. And then before you know it, you're like, shit, that was great. I've mastered this. What's next? Right? So this is why I think a lot of people should actually, anytime they take one major step in any direction, do it for 30 days. Do it for 30 days, implement it for 30 days, and see where you are in a month. Because you don't need 1 million pieces of information. You just need that one step that takes you to the next goal.
Yeah. Yeah. And so with you, like in terms of the mental health stuff, like was there anything that you did, like whether it was therapy, like journaling, meditation, anything that like you would recommend for other people either struggling or starting, or I guess just in general?
Yep. I have different views on therapy. Journaling, I am very, very adamant on. I journal every single day. I have for years. And it was something that my ex taught me how to do. And I think it's probably one of the most beneficial things I ever got out of that relationship. It's taught me a lot. And there's going to be lots of days where you just don't even know what to write, which is right. Just get out your thoughts, you brain dump. With therapy, I think it is a blessing and a curse all at the same time. At my lowest points in my life, I did therapy, and it helped me in those moments. The issue that I have with therapy is, again, just like the information to implementation thing, is I think that a lot of people use therapy as a sense to kind of reopen the wound and to kind of keep getting diagnosed with something. Right? To have somebody pat you on the back and be like, hey, because you have this or because you have that, that's why things aren't changing. So let's have another session and we'll talk.
And let's take some more medication.
Yeah, right. And it's like, it's okay, but you have to remember sooner or later, going to therapy is just reopening wounds where you're never actually healing, right? You're just ripping the scab off every time until you get a scar, right? And so you're never actually getting to that next point. So I know for me, I've had bouts where I've had to battle depression, and after my last major relationship, I had a partner that was in my business, and it all fell apart. And so that was actually probably one of the harder breakups that I had. And so I went to therapy with that one because I dealt with a lot of mental health issues with that, and so I was going to therapy for quite a while. Probably almost a year. And I was learning a lot about like attachment theory and stuff like that. But then I noticed that it had been like almost a year after this big major breakup and stuff like that. And I was still going to therapy. And like, I realized I wasn't able to like connect with women like I wanted to. Like I wanted to have these relationships, but I'd have all of these like internal battles, like feeling like I wouldn't be good enough, or my self-worth wouldn't be there, or like I'd be terrified of things that they said or something like that, thinking it's a red flag or something, because I just kept going to therapy and it was just keep reopening the wounds. I wasn't putting any implementation into my life to just enjoy being me and being who I was and just really being in the moment. So that's why I do have kind of like differing views with therapy. I think if you find a good therapist that can understand that and be like, hey, you know what, we're done here, then good on it. That's fantastic. But I think a lot of therapy is just wanting to kind of keep you hooked. Keep
LTV, baby, lifetime value. I mean, I don't really blame them. It's a business. It's just still, unfortunately, a business at the end of the day. I think the best therapists are the ones that are like, yo, we're good. We're chilling, right? They don't chase you. They don't ask you to book an appointment, or like also like once you hit that threshold where it's like you're good, they'll tell you. But the likelihood of that, I think, is very, very low, because ultimately it still is a business. I mean, I'm not saying all therapists are inherently greedy, but we have a lot of similarities or on the same philosophies, because I've been to therapy a lot, definitely more when in my youth. Some of it was for behavioral, others was for depression, but a lot of the depression, genuinely, bro, like it just stemmed from being so fucking overweight and having no social life. And so crazy concept, I didn't need to go to therapy, I needed to go to the fucking gym.
And that's it, right? You had to,
and the therapy, you know what's funny, dude, the therapist wasn't, okay, granted, like I understand now because I'm smarter, but like the therapist wasn't like, hey man, maybe you should go to the fucking gym. But instead he was just like, how do you feel, and like, why are you sad, and like, did it give me any tangible results or anything to like move forward? Not really. Did it make me feel better in the moment? Yeah, it was like the initial inertia, and then it wore off, and then I'd have to go back. But I wasn't paying for it, so who gives a shit? But I think traditional therapy is, I don't know, man, it's not really that helpful in my opinion. But again, I have a difference of opinion. I think a lot of things could be solved if you do internal reflection and figure out what is actually like your issues. Go to the gym, not even go to the gym, just like, why do you not feel good about yourself? Because chances are you're depressed because you don't feel good about yourself, or you hate your life, or both. And if you hate your life and you don't feel good about yourself, then fix that instead of going to therapy. Like, there's a couple of things that I've started implementing recently with clients. I mean, first of all, it's not really, this isn't new. It's like, find your why, right? And the why could be anything about fitness, but it's also correlated to relationship. It could be your business. It could be whatever the fuck it is. But if you don't have a why, there's no reason you're waking up in the morning, and that's seriously going to not help with depression. So that's the first thing. The other things that I always get clients to do is I have a goal setting document, and I've started implementing it recently. Well, not recently, like a year ago, but ever since I started, it's really helped them, where it goes over stuff about like their non-negotiables in terms of like their personal standards they're going to hold themselves to. Like for me, man of my word, like I don't lie, shit like that. What their goals are a year from now. And again, it's not even just like their fitness goals. It's like business, relationship, all that fun stuff, school, whatever. Then it's their vision board. Then it's their my story. Like, what is your, like, it's like someone's reading your Wikipedia page. But the thing is, you're talking about the past because that's happened. You're talking about the present because it's happening. And then you're talking about the future. But then the beautiful thing about when you paint the picture of the future and you really think about it, you could then reverse engineer, because you're going to literally see the visual roadmap to get from where you are in the present to get to the future, because you're literally writing down what you want your future to be 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now. And you could literally see the steps and take the steps to get there. Although implementation, a lot of people don't do that. And then affirmations. So I get them to do that. And then there's another thing where there's like this, well, it's more so about like people being overwhelmed and shit, but it's like, I call it the 4x4 matrix, where you have urgent, but not important, urgent, super important, not important, and then I forget the other one, but basically you create a 4x4, like a T and then a T, or is it a T? A line and then a line. You write down everything, and then basically you delegate it. So anything that's not important, just fucking don't even bother with it. Anything that's super important but not urgent, then delegate it to someone else. And anything that's super urgent and important, then you do it yourself. And then that takes a lot of stuff off your plate. Oh, and then the last thing, I'm sorry, going on a tangent, but there's another thing that I like doing. It's called, have you ever heard of RAS or RAS? The reticular. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. So now I've started implementing that with clients as well. And I don't know how to say it properly, but RAS system, it's something with your brain. And it's correlating to the affirmations. It's correlating to your vision board. It correlates to all of that. And it also, it's like, I do it unintentionally before I started learning about this. Like, I have right behind my desk, I have my vision board, I have my story printed, and I see it, and it sits inside my subconscious mind. I think about it all the time, right? When I do the journal, exactly. When I do the journal, I think about the future, or like I love the journal dump, right? But like the RAS thing is basically like, it's another level of your subconscious mind. I know that I'm not a big proponent and believer of like all this like fucking, what is it? This like yoga fucking like hippy dippy bullshit. I'm just a real guy who's been through shit. And I everything I suggest, I do myself, and I suggest to other people. And I mean, this was my 5-minute TED Talk rant about therapy, but fundamentally, therapy is not bad if you need it, but I feel like a lot of people need to do inner and outer reflection on themselves to figure out why they're actually going to therapy. And more likely than not, they could probably fix the issue themselves versus going on a higher prescription dose of medication, of fucking Zoloft or antidepressant or anxiety meds, you know? Like, I'm not saying that those don't exist, but like, holy shit, maybe try to fix the shit yourself versus like talking to someone for $200 an hour, right? Journaling would probably mitigate half of people's therapy sessions, genuinely.
I love what you said, because we actually had somebody here. So plus size journeys. However, the deep work is important. Being able to accept not only your light, but your dark, to me, is so important. And then they said, ouch, after what you said there. And it's like, but hey, take that. And that's okay that it was an ouch. Because I think again, like a lot of people, this is what we're getting at, right? A lot of people are going to these therapy sessions thinking this is the thing that's going to fix them, right? And it's like, you got to remember that these are mentors, right? That if anything, they're giving you information, but
are they mentors though?
implement, right?
I don't know if
Well,
they're mentors. Some are, but I don't know. See, the thing is, and I always tell people, and I'm not trying to be a narcissist, but I always tell people I'm a cheaper therapist, right?
Yeah.
I mean, instead of going to therapy like once a week, 4 times a month, at like $800 a month, I know for sure shit I'm cheaper than that. And I know you. No offense, I'm probably pretty certain you are as well. And I'm not saying like I'm going to talk to them for an hour and let them cry, but I'm going to change their lives in ways that therapists can't. And I'm sure there are the very few therapists that like they had like an epiphany moment, they had some shit in their life, then they went to school, but a lot of them are just like normal people that like just got a degree. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I think there's levels to this shit. Like I would rather learn from firsthand experience from an actual mentor, from like a coach, from someone who is in a position that I'd want to be, than some chick who read a book.
Yeah, somebody who lived it. Yeah, I agree. And I think there's a lot of fun, like fundamentally that is a good way to look at it, because at the end of the day, so something I've talked about a few times is something I call BTEA. So it's behaviors, thoughts, emotions, and actions. All right. Is you have to see what your behaviors are. If your behaviors are things where you talk bad about yourself, you're constantly beating the shit out of yourself, you have poor self-worth, you have to remember those are core values, right? The more and more that you're becoming those are becoming core values. Now, because of those core values, that's going to start figuring out what the thought patterns are going to be. Yes. So if you're always beating yourself up, you're always telling yourself you're not worth it, you're always telling yourself that you can't do things, then what do you think that your emotions are going to be? Well, now your emotions are going to feel negative. You're going to feel down about yourself. You're going to feel anxious. You're going to feel depressed, right? And then what do you think your actions are going to be when you're feeling those things? Yep. That's when you're going to go to the binge eating. That's when you're going to go to all these areas that all of these actions that go against the things that you want out of your life. Yeah, that's why I think therapy does have its negatives, because you are literally putting yourself back into those emotions and then wondering why you can't change your actions. Right? Instead of kind of reworking the pattern, right? So I think action is always going to be more valuable than behaviors in the grand scheme of things, because I think when you start taking actions, even if you feel like shit, right? If you start taking actions to better your health by better nutrition, better fitness, joining classes, joining a program, whatever, you're taking actionable steps that are going to make you feel better. And now you're going to have better emotions, right? You're going to be more enlightened. You're going to have endorphins going. You're going to get all of these things that are making you feel better towards your goals. That's going to start changing your thought patterns, right? Your whole thought patterns be like, you know what? Maybe I can do this. Like I showed up at the gym today, even though I have gym anxiety, yet I got here, I got my workout done, and I actually feel pretty good about it. Right. And then all of a sudden now because you're doing that on the day-to-day basis, now you're changing those core beliefs. And this is where everybody thinks, I wish I was more confident. Well, where do you think you get the confidence from? Your confidence is a core belief. And you change that by taking the action, changing the emotions, changing the thought patterns, to eventually you build a new core belief. That's why we look at people that are successful and we're like, how do we be like that? You start at ground zero. You start at your daily actions, and it's going to take you way further.
Oh, and you don't need to be Ashton Hall and have a fucking morning routine either. I think that super jacked guy that's gone.
People do that kind of stuff to try and like optimize their shit and whatever and anything in the day. It's nonsense in the grand scheme of things. You guys don't need morning routines. You don't need to at the end of the day, you don't need journaling and shit like that too. If it's something that helps you, great. But if it hinders you, then don't do it. Do it for the things that are going to better your life, that are going to help you move the needle in your life, right? Because that's what it is. It's all about quality of life and happiness.
I'm going to give you a bar. I tell my clients this. It's not about what's actually true. It's about what you believe is true.
You go.
If you put in the effort, those beliefs will shape your reality. Mm-hmm. And to quote Kai Green, your thoughts become things. Your thoughts create beliefs, and those beliefs become your world. So your beliefs equal your actions, equal results, equal feedback. And for a lot of people, they need to jump in at the belief stage and take massive fucking action on those beliefs and then see what happens. Listen to the feedback and then keep tweaking shit until you get it right. But most people don't, right?
Because that's hard. There's a lot of accountability that comes with that. All right. And I'm not going to tell anybody that it's fucking easy. Okay. We've just been doing it for years. That's why it's something that just comes natural more to us now. Didn't before. Like we said, right? We were spending thousands of dollars a month in fucking junk food, right? Yeah. But it's, this is where we're at today. But don't forget of where we came from, right? It takes massive accountability, massive. And it's going to make you feel extremely uncomfortable. All right. It's by changing these things about yourself and changing these things about your life. It is so uncomfortable. But you know what uncomfortable is? It's an area of growth.
Yep.
Your brain in general, right? You got to remember that your brain in general is inherently lazy. Okay. It loves to just focus on what it knows. It doesn't want to focus on things and burn energy for things it doesn't understand. 90% of what you do in a day is habitual. It's all patterned. So it wants to just continue those patterns. So you have to remember all those feelings of anxiety and discomfort when you're changing your patterns. That's normal. That is part of the process. That is part of the plan, because this is what's reworking your brain. So you have to remember that emotions aren't a bad thing if you understand them, right? This is why we tell you when we're saying process your emotions, this is what we mean. We don't mean go to therapy and sit there and have somebody pat you on the back and validate you for your emotions. Yeah. We want you to then get uncomfortable. If you have fucking anxiety right now because you walked into the gym today or you're worried about your workout, fucking do it anyways. Do that anyways, because that's the thing that you are now showing your brain. You are showing your biology that you do not give a fuck about how it makes you feel. You are now going to change your feeling because you deserve it.
Well, has anybody ever had a bad workout? Yeah. But like, is it you know what's a worse workout? When you fucking leave and you feel like shit driving back in the car, and then you go home and you fucking eat your feelings. You take the ice cream out of the fucking freezer because you feel like a failure. If you go to the gym and you feel like shit, get fucking half the workout done. It's better than nothing, right? Or go on the fucking treadmill and just get steps in, right? Or when people, I hear this all the time, people think they're looking at them when they're at the gym. I mean, honestly, I worked at a gym, and yeah, some people look at the fat people. All right, I get it. I used to make the joke I was too fat to fit in the door, and so my journey started when I got a pair of dumbbells and I had a trainer, and I would train in the basement because I was too fucking afraid, and I let my brain win. I was too fucking afraid to go to the gym, but you can't let that win. You can't let fear win. You grow from being uncomfortable. You grow from putting yourself in positions where you don't like it. People just don't like being there, and then they get complacent and they let fear win. They let their brain win. They let anxiety win. They let depression win. They sit on the couch. They sit in the bed. They lie in the bed. They just like, I'll get it done later. I'll do it later. You keep procrastinating. And what the fuck happens? I'll start on Monday. I'll start next month. I'm going to start on the New Year's. And now you are a 35-year-old male or a 30-year-old male who's been fucking fat for 15 years. You know, and you hate your life. And I've been there. I mean, granted, I'm not 30, right? But like, there's 17. What's 17 minus 6? 11 years or some shit. I don't know. Like 15 years of my life, I fucking hated myself. I hated my life, right? And like, I don't want people to wait until they have an epiphany moment like me, where you look in the mirror, you can't see your dick in the mirror, and you hate your life. You have no social life. You have no future. You want to kill yourself, but you're too fucking fat to do it. You know. So
we don't want people getting to the same areas we had to change.
No.
We don't want that for you, okay? This is why we put out as much as we do, because we don't want that for you. We want you to see. I understand that people change at the precipice, but we got to remember that you guys have so much potential in your lives, so much potential if you can just acknowledge it, right? And you got to remember, because you feel something, you shouldn't be in your feelings. Feelings, and one of my favorite lines is by Dr. John Delaney. He says something about this, is if you feel depression, you feel anxiety, you feel these emotions, okay? You have to remember that it's like the smoke alarm going off in the house, all right? If you, by feeding those emotions and trying to, just munch on the foods instead of feeling and processing, if you're just trying to, you're trying to skip the workouts, things like that, all you're doing is muffling the noise. But somewhere the fire is still going on, right? No matter how you want to look at it, the fire is somewhere in the house is still happening. And eventually you're going to have to take care of it. But we don't want you to get to the point where literally the house is engulfed in flames before you have to take care of it. We want you to do it now. But while you can see that, there's still a couple embers in the corner, Like
that's like when people ask me what's one of my regrets. I don't honestly live life with a lot of regrets. There's a quote I like. I don't regret a lot of things that I do. I regret a lot of things I do not. Yeah. But one of the things, there's two things that I regret. Well, and they're kind of the same thing. It's not starting sooner. And one of that is because I love my grandpa. He's dead. Shout out to Papa Puffy. And he always knew me as the fat kid. I remember there was a story I shared on a podcast, and anyways, one day he was like, yo, you should go on The Biggest Loser. And I cried in the car for like 2 hours, but he didn't mean it in like a bad way. But he always remembered me as being the fat kid. He offered me like $100 for every pound I lost at one point. And I wasn't motivated by money, but bro, I would have that's like 15 grand.
Yeah.
But dude, that didn't do shit. Right. But so that was my, that's my biggest regret, is not starting sooner, because I mean, what would have changed? Like, I don't really regret it now where I'm at in life now. It helps with the story. It helps with helping other people, but fuck, man, I wish I wasn't 18. I wish I was a 10 or 11, because then I could have probably had a normal life, quote unquote, whatever normal means, but I could have gone to high school. I didn't go to fucking high school because I was so fucking afraid. I would just sit in the basement all depressed and shit. I didn't talk to a girl until I was like 19. Right. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that's healthy for most people. it would have been much more beneficial for me to go to like socialize late and all that fun stuff. But yeah, that would be my biggest regret. And shameless plug, that's literally why I call this fucking thing the Start Yesterday podcast, because, and I was I was shocked it wasn't taken, but when's the best time to start? It's fucking yesterday. And the second best time is today. So if anybody's listening to this, and I mean, you or I have sparked some type of inertia and motivation out of them, get the fuck off the couch. I mean that in the nicest way possible. I know some people don't like that I'm blunt and I swear, and I don't really give a shit. I really don't. It's because it's from the heart, and I'm not going to be some inauthentic fuck who does Photoshop and takes steroids and says he doesn't. Fuck that shit, right? I'm just me. I'm me. I am who I am, and either people like it or they don't, right? And that's the other thing. It's like, I don't really want to work with people. Like, if you're going to watch this podcast and you think I'm an asshole, like, great. Like, you're never going to work with me. Cool. Bye, Karen. So, but anyways, that's why I get off the couch.
I totally agree.
Just I don't want to. I honestly could keep talking to you for hours, but probably we'll do another. Well, not probably. We would definitely do another podcast soon. I still have so many questions I want to ask you, but I have to go soon.
No worries, brother.
Coming. But just basically, I know anything you want to plug. I know you're doing like, we didn't even get a chance to talk about like the youth stuff, but we'll definitely do that soon. But that's I know you're doing the show. You said in like a week or 2 weeks from now,
April 19th. So I'll be crossing the stage on April 19th for my pro debut. So that's going to be awesome. There, be doing that. We got a couple other things that are going on too, rebranding my whole business and stuff as that. We're doing some new coaching systems and stuff. But a big one is we are currently on episode 2 of the 200-pound weight loss documentary series over on YouTube. So that's definitely something I would love to.
I'll put that in the when this comes out, it'll probably be out. I'm gonna say in like a couple weeks, so latest like end of April. I'll put that in the description. So for anybody who's watching on audio, well, I put this on everywhere, but if anybody's watching just on audio, just head over to the YouTube and I'll put all your stuff like the Instagram and your YouTube channel for people to check out.
Awesome. Yeah, because by then we'll have all 4 episodes up there, so it'll be a 4-episode documentary series. But it's been really, really cool just being able to kind of tell the tale, show it all with just no holds bar. And I've been working with a really cool videography team on that one, so that's been one of the coolest projects that have been going on, as well as the Young and Ambitious program as well too. That's been something that's been incredible as well. But definitely, yeah. When we get another chance, we'll talk about some more.
Oh, for sure, bro. Well, we'll probably link up after your show. But I just want to say, obviously, this was a long time coming. So I'm still shocked I didn't ask you sooner. But it's all good, and I really appreciate your time. I obviously really appreciate your vulnerability. It's very refreshing to me knowing there's like another like-minded individual with similar philosophies. Like I always thought for a while I was like just in my own world. I thought I was so. And not in a bad way. I thought it was so unique, and it's not. I'm not. There's other people. It's like the same thing where people think like nobody understands what they're going through. People think like I can't do it, and there are other people that have done it or are going through the same things, and it's really refreshing. So if anybody's still watching, just do the algorithm stuff, please. Honestly, like genuinely, it just helps get more reach, and by doing that, it will probably help other people like on their journey, motivate them, teach them shit. This is a very impactful and helpful episode going over a lot of stuff, mentality, and if you know anybody that's struggling or on their journey, honestly send this to them. And I'm not trying to like benefit from anything. Obviously, like if someone wants to hire me as a coach, great. But like we don't put the content out for that. We do it to help people literally for free.
This is all for impact, guys. So
100%. It's the level to quote George St. Pierre. I want to do my legacy. I make this thing and I fight for my legacy. So other than that, guys, I really appreciate you watching. If you haven't by now, please drop Kyle a follow on all the socials or vice versa. And we'll definitely do another episode soon, bro.
Sounds good, my friend. Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Cool, dude.